What a wonderful weather to spend the day in the countryside. It just stopped pouring rain and here we are. Hi.
Let's get in.
It's a nice car.
Just
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Let's go.
We were hoping to avoid the traffic jam, but 7:30 in the morning and here we are, stuck in traffic. We are getting there after 2.5 hour drive up north into the northern part of Guangdong province. Now we are reaching the first tea contact. The road is getting narrower and narrower here. At a certain point our car will not pass anymore through. So is the wrong one? Is the wrong garden? So we are heading back. We actually have 2 contacts to visit and we just drove to the wrong one basically. They are available only in the afternoon and we drove here first. So now we have to drive back about an hour to our first contact. We made it. We finally arrived at the first destination. It's pouring rain like you see here. The first drops of tea after a long drive. It's Yingde Hong Cha is pretty strong. It has a lot of maltiness and really full body. Our first destination is Yingde Tea, or in Putonghua in Chinese, Yingde Ming, which is the largest producer of Yingde Hong Cha here in the Yingde region. You see here on my right the factory, the production facility, and some of the gardens here on this side. Unfortunately today is raining, so we will not see a lot of tea picking. This is the production facility. It is on 2 floors and although it's fairly large, it's still a considerably small size, thinking that this is the largest in the tea factory. Right now the factory is very quiet, there is no one working here, and it is because we are between the first and the second flush, to use an Indian term. Basically, the first harvest in spring is between the 10th, 15th of March and the mid of April. Today is the 23rd of April. There will be another 10 days break and then hopefully also the rain stop and they can restart harvesting and producing tea. We are allowed to enter the manufacturing area. Here we are. This is the wittering room, the first step after picking the leaves. The wittering is done here for 8 to 12 hours, and after the picking, the leaves are transferred in this other area. Here there are different types of machine. Let me show you. These first row of machines are for preparing the oxidation. The leaves are put inside this container, and by hand a person roll these press down, pressing the leaves onto this surface. While rolling, the leaves are rolled, the structure is broken, and they are ready for the oxidation. On this side here, you see actually the automated version. The leaves are falling here after the withering. They go all the way up in this conveyor belt, and then they fall inside the same machine that we've seen on the other side, but completely automated. So also the press is automated. They are rolled for several minutes, and then they are moved on to the oxidation area. And this is how it works. When the leaves are completely filled, the operator turns these actually the other way around, like this, until it touches the leaves and press them down. It's a little bit heavy. It's requires quite some handwork. There are two production lines that you see here, one in the front and one in the back. And after the leaves are being rolled and prepared for the oxidation, over the conveyor belt, they run into this other room here. This is the oxidation room. And you see the two lines of production. The leaves go over the conveyor belt, and then they are distributed on these mats. They will stay here between 6 to 8 hours to oxidize. The room is closed so that they can control the temperature level and the humidity level. In this factory, they also do tea bags and CTCT, so not whole leaves. For that production line, the leaves are first cut in small pieces, and then they would stay here for oxidation for less than an hour. Because since the leaves are just in small pieces, you need shorter time to oxidize them. So the process is even faster, but of course the quality is worse. That's why they say that that tea is actually milk tea, nai cha. It is meant to be drunk with milk because just the tea itself is not as good. The temperature they keep here is 26 degrees and the humidity of 90 to 95%. What do you see here is a prototype of a new machine they are developing. That's why the size. It is actually an oxidation machine, meaning that they put the leaves inside for oxidation, as we have seen before in the large room. The difference here is that there is an oxygen feeding on the back. Let's have a look. You see here, this machine is actually pumping oxygen through a feeding pipe on the back. The leaves are inside and the oxidation is more controlled and is done at a higher level of oxygen than in natural air. They are still experimenting here, but they've already registered a patent, so they allowed me actually to film this and explain this to the camera. After the oxidation, the last phase is the drying of the leaves. So the two production lines continue here on this side. What you see here is an oven, and there are two different ways of drying in the hongcha, high temperature or low temperature. The high temperature method creates a very nice and strong fragrance that lasts only 1 to 2 months and then fade out. That's why in this factory they use a low temperature to dry the leaves, so that even if the beginning is not that fragrant, later on it will last for longer. The temperature that they keep in this oven is just 115 degrees. And after this step, there is a further step for drying. The leaves come out of the first oven, and you see here how they control the temperature. This is a temperature sensor of the outlet of the air that is fed, the hot air that is fed into the oven. Here there are some fans because on this conveyor belt the leaves flow, and with the fan moisture can be removed and the temperature of the leaves lower down. In preparation for the second oven that you see down there, that's done at 110 degrees, only 5 degrees difference, but just for this 5 degrees centigrade difference, they have the step in two separate ovens. This will allow them to really control and have a low temperature firing while reaching a humidity, a residual humidity in the leaves, the moisture content below 5% for long-term storage. They have both American and European organic certification. Do they really have all their tea certified according to European standards?
我得客人想问一下，就是我们现在所有茶园里面茶叶有没有这种有机的认证？
我们自己种的1500亩，全部是通过了美国、中国、日本和欧盟的有机认证。
The tea produced in their own tea gardens all have this full organic certificate.
Okay. So they produce also tea from other gardens?
They can cooperate with other gardens.
And then when they cooperate, then it's not organic and they want, okay, I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. This is one of the 4 tea gardens that they have, all very neat. They do exclusively hand picking. Despite the large size, they have in total among all 4 gardens 100 hectares, so it's relatively large surface for a medium-sized company. They have during the picking season more than 100 pickers daily to pick the leaves here. It's nice to be back among tea leaves. All these tea gardens are organic, not only Chinese organic certification, also European and American organic certification, which is quite a different standard. Yingde Hong Cha is a tea that actually was introduced in the 50s when the cultivar Yingde Hong Cha, which means Yingde Hong number 9, so literally translated means English red number 9, was developed here in Guangdong. Now, nonetheless, this is not the only cultivar that they cultivate in these fields. What you see here is the Yingde Hong Cha, that is a large leaf variety, Assamica. In Chinese, they say Dayezhong, big leaf variety. And you see that the leaves are fairly large. On the other side here, they have Guangdong, which is a small leaf variety, Xiaoyezhong, and you can really tell that the leaves are actually smaller. In total, they cultivate in this area 3 different cultivars. We have the local Yingde Hong Cha, this one here. Then we have the Guangdong, which is this. And the last one is the cultivar imported from Taiwan, which is not too far. It is the Jinshuan. The Yingde Hong Cha here is used only for black tea and from small quantity of white tea. The Guangdong is used for both black and green tea, while the Jinshuan is used only for green tea in this factory. We had a lovely lunch with eggplants, fish, meat, vegetables, and now we are back to the tasting. They don't only produce black tea, so let's try also the other. Before we had a green tea that was reminding me a lot to Luang Guapian, mainly in appearance and smell, not so much in the taste. And now we have a local white tea. This is done with the same cultivar of the black tea, with the Yingde Hong Cha. And it's pretty good. A slightly floral note. It's more or less a rough Baimudan grade. There are a little bit of buds, larger leaves. These are the last samples before we leave the company here. They are also producing oolong hong, a combination between oolong and black tea, as done also in southern Fujian and in Taiwan, where everything started. After this visit to this fairly large company, we are heading to a smaller producer. Let's see where we are ending up now. They are actually my contact, but they are just friends of friends of friends of friends, so I never met them. We're just following a car now. They pick up us on the main road, and we will see where this ends. Here we are, a much smaller tea field in a hilly area. It wasn't that easy to get here, isn't it?
Yeah, the road is.
The owners are a group of friends. You see them down there speaking with Sky, and they together are renting this field for black tea production. It is in between the first and the second harvest time, but nonetheless some plants are still sprouting new leaves, and so when it stops raining, here it rains all the time, they pick some leaves here. You see that the grass here between the bushes is fairly high, and at the beginning here of every second row they have these yellow sheets. These are to attract, as you can see, mosquitoes, and it is a sticky paper. This is a good sign because it means that they make little use of pesticides or even don't use them at all. Same for herbicides. The fact that the grass is fairly tall here is a good sign. Let's see what they got. Oh wow, okay, here we are. Not so many leaves, you see, it's a lot of work. This area is protected, so it's not possible to build any constructions here. Therefore, they pick up the leaves here and then they bring them down the road to the village where they do the processing. Here another good sign, you see that all the leaves have holes from insects already the young one have some sign, and this is also good because they just confirm that they don't use any pesticides here. What you also see here very interestingly is the size of the stem is different than Xiaoyezhong, the small leaf variety. Here there is really a trunk and it's like a little tree. These plants here were planted here just 12 years ago. Middle age, I mean it's not that young, but nonetheless they've already developed quite a trunk. I'm getting thirsty again, so I would say it's time to get some tea. And here we are, 30-minute drive for a cup of tea. Let's hope it's worth it. They mix, oh yes. They mix the local black tea with lemon leaves. And in fact, actually, there is a pretty lemony fragrance up in the air here. So this is their tea?
Yeah, this is the Yingde Hong number 9, Yingde Hong Cha.
You see also a characteristic of the Yingde black tea is that it has a lot of hairy buds, like this one here. Let me show it closer. The brew is really pale. Look, very, very bright yellow, speaking for relatively low oxidation. But taste-wise, the tea is not so soft. It has some strength, some body is always there. Even if the color is light, the taste is definitely not. Yeah, isn't it? It has some power.
Yes.
The color of the leaves is many different shades of brown and yellow. This is typical of spring tea. Right now what we are drinking is this year's spring tea, harvest in March, while later in the year the second flush becomes darker. Here with the same cultivar they produce also white tea. What is interesting about it is the appearance of the leaves. Because if I wouldn't know it, I would think that this is from Yunnan. And you can tell by the color of the buds that is a little bit golden. I hope you can see that, which is typical for Daiyezhong variety. In fact, also here, the Yingde Hong Cha is a Daiyezhong. Let's see how this one tastes. Yeah, it's more floral than the one we had this morning,
Yeah.
and cleaner in taste.
Yeah.
Lighter, softer.
Yes. It's very different from the one we tasted.
Actually, this one is really good. Like Yingde Hong Cha, you have small variation between producers. Like this one, with respect to the one we were this morning, is lighter. It's clear that they have oxidized it a little bit lighter, and it gives less strength but more florality. But the white tea is completely different, actually. It's a mix of floral. I would say it's also a little bit fruity. It reminds me also lemon, maybe because it's up in the air here. Bye bye. All right, back in the car and back to Guangzhou, right?
Yeah.
Ready for the drive?
Of course. 2-hour drivings.
You can turn here in the front.
Yes.
And look how close they are to the mountain here.